Alright, so this is the spoiler discussion for Don't Breathe. Um, if you don't want any spoilers, you can check the link in the description for my spoiler-free review. I'm going to get right into what I think was the craziest part of this movie, and that was the twist of, this blind guy, he's like, the victim of this movie, sort of, because he's getting robbed. And, it starts off pretty simple. It's like, these three people, they kind of suck. They're going into, rob this guy, and we have our main character, Rocky, and it's like, okay, she wants to get out. Apparently that was her daughter. That was something that I thought was unclear. I thought it was like her sister, but apparently that was actually her daughter, which kind of surprised me. But she wants to get this money so that she can get herself out and her daughter out, and they leave to California. And we have these other two characters where you have Money, he's just the thief and the douchebag guy, and then you have Alex, who really likes Rocky, and that's his downfall ultimately. And then we have this man that they rob. I think they may have said his name in like that ending scene where they talk about the story and stuff. I think they actually do say his name, but he starts off as just this guy who gets victimized, and then he's just super badass because he's a vet, and he's like taking them down. He's like, I'm gonna stop these people that tried to rob me. And then when they get to the basement and that girl is chained up, and it's like, oh, this is the girl that killed his daughter, it just got insane after that. And that was simple. It started off crazy, but it started off just crazy, and then it actually got insane because it's like, oh, he locked her up because she killed his daughter, and it's like, you're gonna, because he could have killed her obviously, and it's like, you're gonna live out. This is before he gave the whole explanation. I was thinking, oh, he kidnapped her because like, oh, you killed my daughter. Basically, I'm just gonna torture you. I'm gonna leave you chained up, and you'll have nothing to do for the rest of your life, and you'll just die. You'll just die in this basement, and then I'll get rid of your body. And that'll be how you basically repay your debt. I was in like, that's simple. That's crazy, but that's at least simple compared to the explanation he gave after, he thought that he killed Alex, and then he knocks out Rocky, and he's like, oh, she was going to have my baby and stuff, and it was like, oh, this got a million times crazier than I thought it was going to end up being. And it's like, I'm not a rapist and stuff, and like, and I thought that too. When he went into the thing, I was like, I thought, he went into a refrigerator, and I was like, that's really weird. They had, like, steam coming out of it and stuff, and just, like, I thought that was a weird little contraption. And then he puts this little thing down, I'm like, I don't know what I don't think he's cooking something right now. It was a little, like, it was in my head a little bit, and then he's like, I'm not a rapist and stuff, and I was like, that was definitely his sperm, which is super gross. Like, they actually did it when he, like, put it into the baster, it had, like, hair in it. I was like, that's a nasty, but accurate detail, I guess. And it was just like, man, that took it to like a whole new level of just craziness, because it's like, now you have this guy, and I understand, of course, he was hurt because obviously this is like just some rich family was like, oh, whatever, our daughter's not going to go to jail because we're rich. Like, he wasn't lying. They're rich, and so their daughter basically got away with getting rid of his daughter, taking her life. And the fact that he was like, it's only fair that she gave me another baby, I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking nuts. Like, that just got crazy. And then it's like, and you took her out as well as the other baby that I was going to have, so now it's only fair that you give me a baby. And I was like, wow, this is super freaking insane. And that was just a crazy twist. Like, once it even got to the point that he had the girl, locked up, it was like, I don't know, I think he is worse than they are. Like, they're stealing from this guy, which makes them crappy people. But, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that is way worse. And like I said, it's one of those weird things where you just go in circles. Like, I mean, this super rich family basically, this girl got away scot-free with murder, and he was just left like, oh, a bunch of money, thanks. His daughter's dead. But, I don't know. Like, I mean, as crazy as that was, the silver lining is at least it was an accident. She didn't, like, take her and put her in the car and get herself drunk and then killed his daughter. It was like, no, it was an accident. She sucks, and she totally should have, but then, that's the real world, unfortunately. But to go so far as to get this girl, which that was the one thing where I was like, that seems a little implausible to me, as the blind guy, he just went out and found this rich girl and kidnapped her. That was like the one thing in the whole movie I was like, I would love an explanation for how that worked out, because like, where would he find her where it wouldn't be like super suspicious and in public, because if this is, you know, the father of the child that she killed, it would be suspicious. Like, oh, that's the dude who lost his daughter, and that's the person that made him lose his daughter. Like, people would pay attention to that. So that was like the one thing where I was like, and plus he's blind, so he just like how did that happen? You know, that was the one thing I was thinking of, because he obviously couldn't just go out and get her and drag her back like he did, you know, Rocky at the end of the movie. So that was like the one thing I was like, that's a little weird to me, but you know, kind of just let that go. But it was really freaking nuts. Like, I thought that was really crazy. Just finding that, you know, the girl being locked up was crazy, and then it just went insane, and he, you know, was gonna impregnate Rocky like that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty freaking nuts. This is really insane. And just the way they go through things, you know, after that, I thought was really good too. And it was like, unfortunately, you know, Alex has the moment where he survives, which I figured was going to happen. That was something that I kind of called, where he got stabbed. I was like, that's going to end up being the other guy, and that's, you know, what ended up happening. And so he saves Rocky, and then they kind of do the normal movie thing where it's like, we got you, sort of, and then we're going to leave. And it was like, you know, I knew he was going to die, especially because they did the opening scene with Rocky being dragged back to the house. And, you know, when it did that, it was like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure he's going to die. Like, they could do it where technically he ends up escaping, but she doesn't. And I thought that would be a cool way to do it, but I figured that he'd end up being shot. I thought he'd actually get stabbed. I figured the guy would just stab him, and that way he'd actually be, you know, basically like, you know, right next to Rocky. But, you know, he shoots him, he gets some other gun from somewhere, like he's probably got a million guns, and you know, he takes him out and is like, man, that really sucks. You know, he finally got killed, you know, towards the end of the movie. And you know, she takes off, and I love the scene that they had when she actually got out of the house. I was surprised that it even lasted that long, where she was even outside the house. The whole scene they had with her trapping the dog in the car, and I was like, man, that's pretty freaking crazy. Like, that's nuts. So, you know, like, I really enjoyed the scene how she trapped the dog, and then the dog wasn't as trapped as it seemed, and I was like, that's a nice little way to change that up, because I was like, you know, it was cool in general, the fact that she even trapped the dog, and then it was like, nope, the dog, you know, was able to break through and was basically about to get her until she was able to hook the thing on its collar and kind of trap it in there. So she slides herself out, and then she gets knocked out and, you know, hit in the back of the head and gets dragged back into the house. And I like the way it all played out. You know, she finally, you know, they finally get to use that switch, and she sets off the alarm. And even that kind of changed up how I thought it was going to go, because I thought she was going to get him, and then the alarm cuts off, and she does that little step, and I was like, is this going to end where she doesn't actually make it? Because I thought for sure when she was being dragged back, I was like, man, this might end on like a really crappy, you know, really sour note, where it's not, you know, like, oh, you know, she got away or anything, but you know, she still ends up knocking him down. Seemingly he gets killed, and then we find out that he actually survived. And it's like, man, that was really crazy. That was just a crazy way to end it, where he actually got to live. And it's like, you know, he's just the war hero, basically, who was, you know, as they said, it was like, you know, war veteran terrorized by two burglars or whatever. And it was just really crazy. It was just a, you know, crazy freaking ending to a crazy freaking movie. And it's like, man, you know, like I said, it was one of those weird gray areas where it's like, I don't, like, I kind of hate him more than I hate them for robbing a bunch of people. And it's just like, it's hard, I don't know, like, it's just really crazy, because he clearly he wasn't an innocent person. They obviously weren't either. So it's just one of those crazy things. But it was a really good movie. I completely forgot to mention this in my spoiler-free review, but it was filmed in Detroit, which I had no idea of until, like, that first scene where they do, like, the pan over the city. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I know exactly what liquor store that is. Like, that big liquor store that was white. I actually filmed a video there, like, a month ago. Like, we did, like, a little music video project. I was like, I know exactly where that is. And I thought that was the craziest thing. I never, you know, like I said in my spoiler-free thing, I didn't even know about this movie until like 2 weeks ago. So I, of course, had no idea that it was filmed in Detroit or anything like that. So that was a nice surprise. I was like, you know, it's cool. They, you know, film movies in Detroit. So that I always love. I'm from Detroit. That's why I mentioned that. So I was like, that's really cool. I know exactly where that is. I've been there. Showed a lot of the messed up houses that we do have in the city. But it was like, you know, Actually, at least it played into the story. It wasn't just look how crappy Detroit is. It was like at least it kind of plays into the story. Like he was the last person holding out, and that is an actual thing that we do have in Detroit, where there will be some blocks where the houses are just messed up and stuff, and they're left there, and you have that one person who's kind of just alone. I'd be freaked out to do that myself because it's an easy way to get robbed. But it's not like everybody just has a choice. Like, well, I'm just gonna take off because I got money. But I thought it was cool. I was surprised that it was filmed in Detroit. I had no idea. Normally they throw that all over the news. Like whenever Transformers is here, it's always like, check it out, Transformers in Detroit, because they always come back here. Batman v Superman was filmed here a little bit as well. So whenever something like that happens, it's like, check it out. What was that movie? It Follows was also filmed in Detroit as well. So I don't know what the deal is. It's either like crazy blockbuster action movies or like horror movies or something. It's like you get one or the other. So it's like you get like, in the action movies you get to see like downtown Detroit and like all the fancy stuff we got, and then horror movies show like the lesser side of our city. But meh, more money for the city. I can at least appreciate that. They don't like act like Detroit's just the worst thing ever. Sometimes you gotta go, and that's true. I know certain people will take it in a different way. If you aren't from Detroit, it's just like, oh, you're from Detroit, yeah, take off. It's not as bad as it seems. It's just, the news will always show the worst part of anything, so that's just how it is. But I was surprised to see it was filmed in Detroit. I was kind of glad to see that. I was like, that's pretty cool. I had no idea, so that was pretty sweet to see that. But in general, it was a really cool movie. I think after realizing, I guess for the second time, that it was by the creators of Evil Dead, so like Sam Raimi was producing and whatnot. When I saw that, I was like, huh. And I thought back to a lot of the scenes. I was like, you know what? That does seem like some Evil Dead stuff. Like just even the way they shot this stuff, it was like, yep, that was very reminiscent of how they filmed stuff, even from the old Evil Dead. I don't believe Freddy Alvarez or Fetty Alvarez, I forgot his first name, I believe his last name is Alvarez. I don't believe he was working on the original Evil Dead movies, but just the way they did stuff, it's like, yeah, I can see that. That's some Evil Dead stuff going on there. Just the way something's shot, or the way it kind of builds up suspense, and the way it kind of concludes in a weird but satisfying way. Like when Rocky was in the vents, that was a great scene to me. I was like, she's in the vents, she's doing this thing where she's trying to get across this gap. It's like, alright, she's struggling, and then, while she's doing that, which is like a minor struggle compared to Alex's thing where he's dealing with the dude, the dog, we find out, actually is able to hop up some stuff and get on the thing and goes into the vents to chase her. I was like, that's a really great scene. I wasn't expecting that to happen, to be totally honest. And so we have these two really great things going on, because the scene when Alex went out the window and he lands on the other one, I was like, that was another one of my favorite moments, because I love the basement scene, but that was probably my second favorite moment in the whole movie, because he landed there, and really it was the suspense of what's going to happen next, because I'm like, I feel like this is his chance to escape, and he'll be able to make it out and maybe bring people back, and that would explain, if he was gone, that would explain why Rocky was in that opening scene by herself. Like, he would be gone and he'd be trying to bring people back, and the rest of this time she'd basically be trying to survive, against the blind guy. So it was just really cool. I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. And I love the way it worked, because it does that. And he's passed out, and we just see the window cracking and stuff. And it's like, if it cracks, it's going to, it's going to alert the guy, especially when he went into the kitchen. I'm like, if it cracks, he's just going to shoot up, and he'll know that he fell in there. And then I'm like, I don't know how this is going to play out. And I assume, especially based on the opening scene, we know Rocky's going to at least make it to the end of the movie. So it's like, I don't know if he's going to shoot up at this dude and, take him down. And then, it goes through all the stuff that happens with Rocky and, her falling down and basically passing out. Then it cuts back, and he wakes up as it's cracking, and he turns over slowly. And I'm like, alright, if he spreads himself out, he can, like, hold on to the house or something, even if, the window breaks. And then he notices the guy's in the window again, and he's, like, aiming down. And this is just a really great scene, because he already thought, like, maybe he escaped. And then it's like, oh, I hear the window cracking. He might still be there. And he, once again, and this is one of my favorite things in this whole movie, he hears a sound, and a split second later, he shoots right where he heard the sound, and it just barely misses Alex. And it was like, that was really freaking sweet. That was just a great little moment. And yeah, and that's what really sucks with Alex. Like because he had the moment where he got shot in the ear when they were first about to make it out of the house with the kidnapped girl, and even before that, actually, when the phone went off, or no, that was towards Rocky, so that wasn't him. That was her almost being shot, and he gets like clipped in the ear, and then he almost got shot. It was like right next to him when he shot the window, which also looked great because he shot it, and of course he just falls through and he lands on his back, and it's like, well, he's effed up, but it was really great. Like I love those scenes where it was like he would just stand and wait, and then something minor would happen, and he just goes boom, and he would miss him because it would be something that's off, or it's just, he hears a bunch of noises. Like when they were in the cellar, it was just, he heard a bunch of, different people. He didn't know that one of the people was, the girl that he kidnapped. So, it was just a great little scene. And like I said, I love the basement scene, especially when they, like, completely shut off all the sound, and they have the scene where Rocky's, like, feeling stuff, and she's just about to touch the guy, and then Alex calls her name, and he shoots, and she's like, holy crap, like, I was right next to him, and I didn't realize that. I love that scene, and just the way it looked as well. I was trying to figure out if it was actually pitch black and they actually did like night vision stuff. I don't believe they did. I think they just made the screen black and white because it looked like, at least in the first time he actually was shooting at them, it looked like it went back to color for like a split second. And I'm like, so I'm assuming that this was like edited to be like black and white, and sort of the grayscale black and white, not like the green and black, because the part where they go to the door, that would have been like just a white aura if it was like the normal green and black night vision. So it was slightly altered, and I'm sure they had like maybe very minute light, but you could see like their pupils were like dilated because they were actually trying to see. So that was a part of what I really enjoyed about it. Was like you could tell that it's at least a lot darker. It might not be like actually pitch black, but it's at least a lot darker, and they did the close-ups of their eyes and stuff, and I was like, this looks really freaking sweet. I love that scene, but really, really fun movie. Yeah, I really enjoyed the characters. I like how it all played out, and we have, these three kind of crappy people, and Midlink is trying to rob this guy. The crappiest gets killed off right at the beginning, and, he gets taken down, and he was an idiot. I mean, it was like, he had a good reason when he mentioned, like, we're going into a vet's house, even if he's a blind guy. Of course I'm going to take a gun. But naturally, he wasn't prepared to use it, and that's how he ends up getting himself killed and setting up like this whole mess. Because if he killed the guy, it would be like, oh, that sucks, but we're out of here. Let's go. But it was just a crazy little adventure inside the house. I really enjoyed it. That was a really fun movie. Great to see Jane Levy doing another movie, because I'm sure she's been in some other stuff that I may have just not seen. But it was really funny realizing, like, oh, I remember her now because she was from Evil Dead, and then it's like, oh, it's from the creators of Evil Dead, so that might explain why she was in there, because she did a good job in that movie. So they're like, well, we'll get her back because she's good with horror. So it was cool to see her in there. We saw some, all the actors I've seen in other stuff. They're just not like super big name actors. I've just seen them, like, I know I've seen you in some other movie, and I know I've seen you in some other movie, and you as well, but that was pretty much as far as it went for me. But I did really enjoy this movie. It's a nice addition to like the current horror genre that we've been getting, where things seem to be changing for the better. I don't know if that's going to keep up, because we got like sequels coming out now. We got Rings coming out, and the new Blair Witch movie. So it's like, this might be the last really cool horror movie we have, or at least, horror thriller suspense genre movie we have, because Conjuring 2 was good. Lights Out was pretty good. I thought this was pretty good too. So, hopefully it keeps going. I don't know what's going to happen with this Rings and stuff. I did see the Rings trailer when I watched this. I didn't care to see it on YouTube, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm watching it now. It does seem like an interesting premise. I think in this, instead of the girl coming out to get you, you turn into the girl. Not 100% sure, but that's how it looked based on the trailer. For the main character, at least. Everybody else was dying, so a bunch of crap. I don't care. But this was a good movie, and it seems like to be a nice trend of horror movies doing stuff. If it follows the tropes, it does it well, and if it doesn't, then it breaks it up well. So I hope that the trend keeps going, and I think this is a nice addition to it. Very intense movie, very, very intense. Like, it's not, you know, like I said, I wouldn't classify this as a true horror movie, but definitely high thriller suspense, and you know, being in there and they're holding their breath, and yeah, I definitely held my breath. I think during the very first scene where after he killed the guy and they're in the house, I think I was holding my breath just to see like how loud would I be if I was in this situation trying to hold my breath and stuff. So I don't know if you guys had that experience, but that's something I always do, whether it's a movie or a TV. But in this, I think I found myself doing it a couple of different times. Like, you know, how quiet would I be? How long could I hold my breath without exhaling or making, you know, too loud of a breath going out, or you know, going in? So really enjoyed that. Really fun movie. I don't know if I'll end up buying this because, you know, like most horror movies, you see it once, you kind of get it. But I think this is one that you could watch more than one time, and it's just like, man, even outside of the twist, just seeing it, it's just pretty crazy. It's like, man, that's, what would it be like, you know, in that sort of experience? So I really enjoyed it. Of course, definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. I'd love to know what you guys think of the ending with him technically surviving and him kind of being made as just, oh, it's a vet who got terrorized, but he's kind of like a, you know, he's a strong, you know, this blind guy is like a strong vet survivor type character, and Rocky's like, that blows, but she does leave with her daughter, and they, you know, she doesn't decide to go back and try to get rid of him because it's like, well, as much as it sucks, and they, you know, they get classified as just these horrible people who tried to rob a blind guy, she has to get her daughter out of there. Plus, they're both dead, so it's like, can't really help them anyway. But despite all the craziness that she found out and what she knows about him, it's like, man, I kind of just have to go. I just have to live the way that I can. I would love to know what you guys thought about the ending. I thought it was interesting because it's like, man, they're both kind of crappy, but personally, I kind of felt like he was worse. The whole impregnating thing, and but you know, losing a child, it's just crazy. It's just really hard to just be like, he sucks and that's it. It's like, it sucks, but like, they suck, but I think that might be a little worse, but they're still really crappy too. So it's just really hard, but I love the way that it all played out. Like I said though, definitely want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.